Welcome back, Wildcat Nation, to episode 5 of season 7. I'm Abby Harvey with Isaac Wolf, and today we will be spotlighting the number 12 nationally ranked competition cheer team. We'll be joined by sophomores Mikey Howard and Kaylee Taylor.
Howard is the lead flyer, and Taylor is a base and tumbler for the Wildcats, who finished 12th at Nationals last year. This season, they've finished first or second in each of their sessions and head to Kansas this weekend for the Thresher Invitational. Before
we get started, here's your Crossroads League Week in Review.
I'm Isaac Wolf with your Crossroads League Week in Review. In women's basketball, number 2 Indiana Wesleyan finally lost their first game of the season, dropping Saturday's matchup with number 14 St. Francis at home 64-56. The Wildcats are still without Lily Frazier, who will most likely be out until the national tournament. The difference in this game was the shooting percentages. The Wildcats shot 36% from the field and 17% from 3, while the Cougars shot 51% from the field and 42% from 3. The balanced starting attack scored all but one of St. Francis' points, while Taylor Folkema and Maddie Lawrence led the Wildcats with 22 points and 17 points, respectively. Iowa gets a chance at redemption on Wednesday against Taylor and Saturday against Mount Vernon. St. Francis, who now sits at 21-3, gets Mount Vernon on Wednesday and Marion on Saturday. Number 15 Marion went 2-0 this week against Goshen and Huntington, winning both games by a combined total of 51 points. Abby McNally averaged 17 points and 14 rebounds per game. In men's basketball, number 7 Bethel squeaked out 2 close ones at St. Francis and against Mount Vernon, winning by a total of 8 points. Trent Edwards led the way, averaging 18 points per game on the week. The Pilots have Marion and number 12 Grace this week. The game against the Lancers will be for first place in the conference depending on what happens Wednesday, as the Pilots and Lancers are tied at the top of the Crossroads League standings at 12-2 each. Number 12 Grace had to go to overtime against Taylor on Wednesday, winning 90-84. Anton Webb was the standout for Taylor, dropping 34 points and 12 rebounds in the loss. Grace's leading scorers were the Ians. Rosh had 23, Scott had 21, and added 12 rebounds. The Lancers have the other 2 ranked Crossroads League teams this upcoming week, as Huntington travels to Winona Lake on Wednesday and the Lancers go to Mishawaka to face Bethel on Saturday. Number 19 Huntington defeated Mount Vernon and Marion this week. Lane Sparks averaged 22.5 points per game in the wins, as the Foresters are set to play aforementioned Grace on Wednesday and Spring Arbor on Friday. Baseball began last week, and Indiana Wesleyan is off to a 3-1 start, including an upset of the number 5 University of the Cumberlands of Kentucky 3-1. Quinn Willard went 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored. Number 19 Taylor is off to a 4-3 start. After scoring 31 runs in their first 2 games, the production has slowed down quite a bit, and the Trojans went 2-3 in their next 5. As for this week's Crossroads League awards, the women's basketball offensive player of the week is Zion Neat of Goshen. Neat scored over 20 points in each of Goshen's games, netting 30 in an upset of Grace and averaging 25.5 points in the 2 games on a 58% clip from the floor. Neat was on target from deep, drilling 7 of 13 threes on the week. The women's basketball defensive player of the week is Peyton Murphy of Grace. Murphy stuffed the stat sheets for Grace against Taylor and Goshen, averaging 23 points, 12 rebounds, 5 steals, 3.5 assists, and a block and a half as well. Murphy went for 18 rebounds in the win over Taylor and had 6 steals against Goshen. The men's basketball offensive player of the week is Anton Webb of Taylor. Webb averaged 25 points per game in a pair of overtime thrillers for Taylor while shooting 69% from the field. Webb scored 34 in the near upset of Grace and finished with 10.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 1 steal per game. The men's basketball defensive player of the week is Ian Scott of Grace. Scott played a big role in Grace's wins over Taylor and Goshen, picking up 11 rebounds, a block, and a steal per win. In addition to his defensive work, Scott posted 16.5 points and 4 assists per outing. The women's indoor track and field track athlete of the week is Leah Kunzman of St. Francis. Kunzman set a new St. Francis record and posted the 7th best mark in the NAIA this season by crossing with an A standard and first place time of 9 minutes 52.04 seconds in the 3,000 meters. The freshman went on to add a 3rd place finish in the distance medley relay. It is a clean sweep for Marion the rest of the way with the track awards. The indoor track and field athlete of the week is Delaney Teachner of Marion. Teachner highlighted Marion's showing at the Fairgrounds Invite by taking 3rd and hitting NAIA B standard in the pole vault with a height of 3.62 meters. The men's indoor track and field track athlete of the week is Tristan Trevino of Marion. Trevino hit a personal best time of 4 minutes and 9.59 seconds in the mile for Marion at the Fairgrounds Invite. Trevino scored a win in the event, broke his own Marion record, and hit the A standard with his performance. The men's indoor track and field athlete of the week is Brendan Andres of Marion. Andres posted a season high with a height of 4.55 meters in the pole vault for Marion at the Fairgrounds Invite. The junior finished 4th overall as the top non-D1 competitor in the event. The baseball player of the week is Andrew Sinesh of Indiana Wesleyan. Sinesh highlighted a 3-1 start to the season for receiving votes Indiana Wesleyan by hitting .545 with 1 home run and 5 runs batted in. The sophomore also walked 4 times, fanned only twice, and scored 3 runs for the Wildcats. And the baseball pitcher of the week is Brock Buckley of Indiana Wesleyan. Buckley led Iowa to a 3-1 upset of number 5 Cumberlands by tossing 5 scoreless frames in his start on the bump. The junior allowed just 1 hit and 1 walk in the 5 innings, taking the win and striking out 7. That's all for this week with your Crossroads League Week in Review. I'm Isaac Wolf.
So your guys' first competition was home. How was that environment?
It was actually really good. There were a lot of people there, which normally a lot of people don't show up to our things or don't know what it is, and it was really awesome to have a lot of people there. There were a lot of different teams there, which was cool. There were some softball girls, men's basketball. There were a couple people who poked in, and they were really excited about it. So it was really fun to see other sports excited about a sport that they don't really know much about.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a lot of energy going in. The hype video
It was so
loved
good.
it.
It was so good.
Yeah. But a lot of nerves going into the first competition.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of expected. And then I feel like with cheer, not a lot of people know a lot about it, I guess. So the nerves of wanting to do well to kind of prove that we are a sport, we are a good team, kind of. But
Yeah.
a lot of energy going in for sure.
That intro video was actually, I'll be honest, it's one of the best I've seen in my time here. I was
I
very
agree.
impressed with what
I
Diego
felt
was
like
It got me
did.
hype.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it was better than the basketball ones.
It might have
I will
been.
say football, basketball. Sorry, guys.
The cheer one was good.
Yes.
Awesome.
So how did you guys get into this when you were little? And was it like from a gymnastics background? Because obviously this is different than sideline cheer. Or did you do sideline cheer as well? So what was that kind of like growing up?
I was in gymnastics. I started gymnastics when I was 3 and went competitively all the way up to level 8. And then just injuries and stuff prevented me from going further. But that's all that I really knew. I kind of pictured going into colleges and doing gymnastics there. So then when injuries prevented me to go further, I stopped, I quit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually homeschooled also, if that puts a little more perspective. It was serious for me. I loved it. But it was 9th grade that I quit, and I went back to high school, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. It was I loved tumbling, but I've always done a sport. So I tried all kinds of different sports, and nothing really stuck until my mom gave me the idea of cheering. I was actually one that made fun of cheerleaders. It's not a sport. All you do is stand there, clap your hands, yell, whatever. Here I am, now a cheerleader. But that's how I kind of got into it. I cheered freshman year all the way up to senior year of high school, competitively too. So I cheered football, basketball, and the competition side. And senior year, that's when I kind of want to try competing in the collegiate level. So that's now how I'm here, cheering still competitively.
I did tumbling when I was little. I was like the little kids, you don't do tumbling. I wasn't bad. I wasn't great, but it was time for me to start competing. And I was absolutely not. I quit gymnastics, and I just did recreational tumbling from the time I was 8 till the time I was 18. Just on and off, once a week. That was just what I did. And then I cheered in middle school and then also in high school, but I never competed. We had 2 tryouts. We would do fall tryouts and then tryouts for comp. And I was competition is not my thing. So I did not compete ever. And then I got cut my senior year. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not cheering ever again. I went to a clinic. Don't know what got me to go to a clinic. Don't know why I did. My mom was like, you are not going to make the collegiate team. Just know that. They're D2. They just got 3rd at nationals. You have never competed before. And then I got an offer, and I said no. And then 1 week before everybody moved in for our camp week, I emailed the coach, and I was like, can I join our sideline team? And she was like, I remember you from the clinic. And she was like, can you join our comp team? And I was like, okay. And so now I'm here. So, yeah.
So we kind of heard your story a little bit, but for you, did cheer bring you here, or were you already going to come here and it was just an added bonus?
I was already going to come here.
Okay.
Both of my parents actually went here and met here. So I kind of already knew I I actually wanted to play basketball here. I came to several women's basketball camps, and I just, you know what, it's not for me. I can't do it anymore. It's very serious, and I couldn't do that. So that's when I fall back to cheer. But now I'm here cheering.
And you were already going to come here? Or was it just cheer kind of brought you here?
I was not going to come here. I was looking at Cornerstone University in Grand Rapids, but I was like, okay, if I go to a smaller school, then I can cheer. And it would be like a little bonus, but I didn't really need to. And when I went to Cornerstone, they told me that if I had a round off, that they would give me a big scholarship. And I was like, okay, maybe just like, no. So I was like, okay, I'll just go to IWU and just not cheer. And then I ended up doing the clinic too. So
Nice.
So cheer is a sport that not a lot of, like, even if it's competitive cheer, people associate it with like, oh, they're just the sideline cheer, and they just, well, like it's really just gymnastics at the collegiate level. So describe a week of training and kind of what the schedule looks like for you guys.
Kind of a week in our life. Mondays right now, we have our lifts. We lift with Coach Jeff. Sometimes recently we've been squeezing in some extra stunt group time to rep those out. Tuesday, then we have practice, 3:30 to 6:30, so kind of a long practice. After, let's see, Wednesday, we have another practice, 3:30, 6:30. Thursday, we have another lift with Coach Jeff again. Friday, another practice. And then Saturday is when, in the fall, we'll either have football games or now it'll be competitions. But sometime, like this week, we're leaving on Thursday, and we won't get back till Sunday from, we're leaving for Kansas. So
That'll be fun.
yeah, each week's different, but that's kind of a...
Talk about some of the choreography sessions. I know those can be very extensive sometimes and go, late. So tell the folks viewing what goes into those.
So choreography is when we set out what we want to perform to other people. Our coach pulls in a choreographer from Texas, and he comes and he just knows everything about cheer. Like the math that goes into figuring out every count, every foot that goes into what count, every flip that goes on what sound, like it's insane. So it's a lot of standing and a lot of time for him to process the numbers, moving people, moving parts, trying things not going well, then fixing things. It's like we do 3 sessions a day when it's like our choreo week. So it's like 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours. But he is not a very timely person, which we love him, but it can practice can start at 6 after dinner and we can be there until 10, or like we just don't know an ending time. But it's not super rigorous because we're not actually moving our bodies that much, but mentally it's a lot of
constantly changing counts. Like, okay, we'll go on 3. Like, oh, wait, back it up. We're going to go on 1. But constantly trying to remember those counts. And if you don't, he's very strict. He's like, you got to know these counts. It's like, when we're constantly changing them, it's so hard to remember. But
Crazy.
it's fun, though. Yeah. Getting the choreography is probably the most fun. And especially getting the music and having it line up like that. It's rewarding.
Yeah. With both of you being underclassmen on MAT, how have you had to step into more like of a leadership role?
I think just being a role model to the freshmen. I think it's really hard to step into a place where like the seniors are like the leaders, and you don't want to overstep your boundaries, but you can also be a leader in your little underclassmen like group, because sometimes it's scary to just go straight to seniors. Like you don't want to go straight to seniors. So I've taken a lot of the little freshmen. We only have 4 of them, but under my wing, and it's like nice because they can ask us questions that they're scared to ask the seniors, or that they're like, oh, I don't know, like I'm not that close with them. But they have a first person to go to, and then I can go to the seniors if I need to. But it's been really nice to be friends with them, but also like answer all their questions. And it's fun to be like a sophomore, not the one who doesn't know what's going on.
It is fun in that sense, but it's hard because you're in that like bridge between upperclassmen and underclassmen, and it's hard. You don't want to step on toes. Like, you don't want to just start speaking, and the upperclassmen are like, what are you talking about? So it is hard, but it is a lot of fun, kind of learning that for sure.
So with only 2 invites left, what's the biggest focus before the conference championship?
Oh, gosh. We have been adding things like crazy. We've changed mount now. I don't even know how many times. Group stunts, they're constantly changing. What we competed at, was it Wildcat weekend? Our routine does not look like that anymore. We've now dropped down to 3 group stunts, and they've gone to 1 leg now. They're hitting pretty good. They're solid. Mounts, I feel like completely changed mounts, but going into conference and nationals, that's when we want kind of our highest level of skills, and that's what we've been working on right now. And this weekend, we're going to kind of put it to the test, see kind of what works, what doesn't, and then the weekend after that, we'll change it again and see, okay, does this work or does this work? And then going into conference, then that's where we hope everything will kind of fit perfectly. And
Give us the points we need.
yes, please.
Talking about points, how on earth is cheer scored? We
my
were trying to
gosh.
figure it out when we were there, and I don't understand it.
No, I've been in it for such a long time too, and still trying to understand, because each judge is different. They all have their own opinions. This past weekend or 2 weekends ago, we don't agree with their judging. I think it was biased.
Yeah.
I think it was biased, but we have, our coach sends in a score sheet before we even compete of, we're going to have this many group stunts, this is what our group stunt is going to be, this is the amount of tumblers we have, this is what tumbling is going to be thrown, jumps, like everything's already written out for the judges to see, and they'll watch, like, so you said you had 4 group stunts, why did only 3 go? So then they'll dock points based off of that. Or, okay, you said 4 group stunts, this, and this, only 1 hit to 1 foot, the other 3 didn't. Or did you wobble while you were up there? Did you fall? Different deductions and points can be taken off based off of that too. Choreography, how clean we walk on the mat. You can't walk with your arms swinging or whatever. You have to stay tight. Your facials, you have to look happy. Presentation is a huge thing, especially in cheer, but I think we're getting better at all of those for sure as a team.
It's a lot of execution. You can do really hard skills, but if it looks not good, then that docks us down points. And if another team does a skill that's really clean but doesn't have as high points, that could be the shift breaker in who gets the points and who doesn't. And then also difficulty is a big part of it too. That's what helps us in a lot of our competitions, because while we might not be the cleanest, our difficulty boosts us up just enough that we can win. But yeah, it can be things from someone touches the ground barely, and then we lose half a point, and that could be the big difference between first and second. So
especially conference and nationals, those little touches make a huge difference when you think it doesn't.
You guys have kind of a unique experience in your team dynamic where you have men and women, practicing together consistently. So what's that dynamic like, having, men on the team?
I think they're all coming from sports that are very aggressive. We have football players, hockey players, lacrosse players, and they're not used to having to deal with women on their team. They like things to be hardcore. We should be able to yell at each other. We should be able to and it should be fine. But
their way of encouragement.
Yes, their way of encouragement is a lot more aggressive. But girls aren't like that. But also, it's really nice because the boys become very protective over us, and it's really awesome. I never thought I would ever see seniors as my older brothers. I would never think that this 22-year-old would be somebody that I like to turn to, but they see us as their little siblings, and they love looking over us, and we're all really good friends. It's never divided boys and girls. Everyone's always mixed together, which is really nice. But I think that the most difficult thing is their sports background compared to our sports background and what that looks like for each person.
Yeah. I will say, coming from high school all-girl too, and then now co-ed, collegiate, oh my gosh, the skills that they're able to throw and help us throw as a base in high school, I would never throw any of these things. But now that I have a base, a guy base, basing with me, they're so strong. They can just get it up there. It's nice for me. I don't have to get as much weight, I guess, but the skills that are able to be thrown, and it's just crazy. Yes. The co-ed and everything, they can just toss those girls up like it's nothing. Like I don't understand how they do it.
It's so high too.
Yeah.
It's like crazy.
Yeah.
As a flyer,
No, you go.
I feel so safe too. In high school, like you just got little like 16-year-old girls as your back spots, as your bases.
Just watching you fall to the ground.
Yeah. And now I have like a 6'4", 260-pound man. Like he's not gonna let me hit the ground, and so that's like also you just feel so safe because they're just these huge dudes that just catch you one arm. And in high school, girls were hitting the ground all the time because we're all just small and just all try to catch each other. So
it also keeps the environment super lighthearted.
Yes.
Their jokes and whatnot. The team wouldn't be the same without it.
Yeah. With both of you being such different positions, do you guys like know what each other is doing throughout the routine, or are you kind of just focused on your own thing?
Yes and no. I do know counts and what she should be doing, but based off like I'm turned, so I can't see if she hits the group stun or not, but I know what count she's supposed to go on. Or I know, like, she's also a tumbler, and I'm a tumbler kind of a couple spaces down from her, so I know, okay, they go on 5, I go on 1. So, yes, I kind of know what everyone's supposed to be doing, as long as it's what I'm doing. I don't know what they're doing in the background. I just know tumbling what counts everyone goes on.
Yeah, I don't know what my bases are doing underneath me, like, at all. Like, I just know. Actually, no, I don't know. Like, I don't know how they throw me. I don't know.
Just know what you're supposed to do,
Yeah, I
and
just
that's
know
it.
because we'll do something, and they'll be like, that grip was crazy. Like, I had one finger under it, and I'm like, I didn't notice. Like, I had no idea. So, which I think could be for the better at some points. But no, I don't know what they're doing all the time.
So when you leave the mat, do you know if it was a good performance or not, or like just for yourself, or can you tell the team vibe?
Oh, the energy, you can tell by dance if everyone's kind of like dragging along, or if everyone's like, and especially the crowd too. You can see the coaches in front of us if they're up and cheering, or if they're like, dang.
Yeah, I learned to watch our coach because I'm in the front for our group stunt, and I can see my peripheral. No, I can see in front of me. I can see her hands up, and when we all hit, you can see her like throwing her hands around. But when we don't, I can see her like, I can see her freeze, and I'm like, dang it, because I can't see anybody behind me, but I can tell just by like her arms and her body language that it wasn't good. And then with the dance at the end, if everybody's like, if the whole crowd's screaming and cheering at our coaches, but like our coach could still be clapping, but you can just tell.
Well, and they'll go,
wasn't.
oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can hear it in the crowd, and you know that like, and then people start looking flustered, and everybody starts counting a little bit faster as things get worse. People start counting faster, and it just gets more chaotic, and you can feel the energy just start to like just become a lot less excitement and more frantic. So
So us three went on that lead retreat weekend with Hannah Miller. What was your guys' biggest takeaway from that weekend?
The confidence and burnout sessions. The confidence, I've actually taken so many pictures of my notes and just shared them with so many people, especially with burnout, just preventing it, but then also recognizing it and then knowing how to kind of deal with that. But the confidence, for sure, especially a sophomore trying to look into a leadership position, it can be hard. Like, you don't want to step on toes or anything. So, some of those takeaways, sharing them with others and how they can be more confident and humble in their sport and what they're doing, but then also taking it for me too and what I can do to better my, position on the mat.
I think there was one session that the volleyball coach did, and she talked about how just because you don't have a skill right now doesn't mean you've never had it. And I think with cheer, things fluctuate so much, and it's so easy to be like, well, that's it. Like, we're never going to have it. But it just, like, goes in and out. And, like, I think with, like, every sport, like, some things just go in and out, and you don't know what you're doing wrong, but it'll come back. And she was talking about how, like, sometimes we let our powerful voice be the one that's like, okay, we're done. Like, this is not going well. And I think that was so helpful because just because it's not going well this week or the past couple practices doesn't mean that it's never going to come back. It just means that right now it's not going well, but that doesn't mean that's never going to get better. So I really like that.
Something that stood out, I'm trying to like recall it. We talked about positive voices and weak voices, and weak voices like, I can't do this, I'm not strong enough. Positive voices like, I can do this, like, I'm good enough. We said, dang, what was it? God is strong enough to let those positive voices be our like final words before something. And I think before we go out on the mat, we're always circled in our little circle. We pray and stuff, but we'll go around and say like one word that we need going into this routine. So people say like energy, joy, peace, endurance, strength. And that's kind of our final positive word. Like, God, give us that strength to go on that mat and hit that routine, or give us peace for this routine, give us the trust. So I think that's something that I took away from league weekend.
I really liked that I'd done it before, I can do it again, because we get into that area when we're waiting for our name to be called, and I'm like, what if I just fail? Like, I'm like, what if like everything just goes horribly wrong? And that could happen. But also I'm like, we've done this before. Like, I've done this before. I've thrown my tumbling before. I've landed my tumbling before. I've thrown these group stunts 3 hours a day at practice. Like, I've landed things more than I've fallen. And I think that's a big thing. Even like in everyday life, I'm like, I've done this before. Like, and I didn't die. So it's all going to be okay. And I really liked that.
What kinds of things does the team do for like spiritual growth away from the mat?
Well, on Wednesdays, we have the small group time, and we changed it this year. Last year we did everyone, like gray team and red team, the coach and everything. We all did our devotionals together. This year is different. We've kind of separated off into different groups among the cheer team, but mixed with gray and red team. So we're getting to know and be vulnerable with those gray team members too. But I think it's very intimate, and you can, get to know each other, share things that maybe you wouldn't share in a bigger group setting. Mm-hmm. So I think it's nice in that sense, but that's something that we do on the Wednesdays. Otherwise, before practices, we've really been diving deep into Romans 12. It's something that we, as a team, kind of try to embody, just the unity and letting love be genuine. But before, we've been trying to memorize the entire chapter of Romans 12. So currently, before every practice, we'll sit for 30 minutes and, like, in our little stunt groups, and just try to memorize Romans 12 verse by verse. I think right now we're on verse 5 or 6. 5 or 6, but we're getting there. But I think those little things like that, praying, doing the devotionals together, but then trying to memorize our Romans 12 as a team, it's made a huge difference.
I think not only just doing that little Bible study in the beginning of our practice, but also I think when our coach first told us that we were going to take 30 to 45 minutes out of our practice to read the Bible, a lot of us were like, are you kidding me? Like, it was right before our home comp, and we were like, no way, we're going to take time out of our practice to do this. And it was one of those things where our coach was like, we need to trust that God will multiply our minutes, and that if we're giving this time to God, then he will provide. And it was stressful at first, because I remember me and this other flyer, we were like, no way, like, this is going to end up terribly. And it didn't go terribly. And our home comp was great. And it's just one of those things where you have to just completely give it up to God. And our coach, you could hear, she was like, he's going to multiply our minutes. He's going to multiply our minutes. But she's fully trusting and giving that whole hour of practice, which a lot of coaches would not do. But it's really awesome that she does do that and that she trusts. And then it's just a really great way to start our practice too. But yeah, it was crazy just watching her shave that whole hour off. And because our warm-up takes 30 minutes in itself. So then we are down to like 2 hours of practice. And that's scary, but it's so rewarding, and God loves to see it. So
that's so cool. Do you guys have like a team like motto or slogan? I feel like a bunch of the teams.
Cats be genuine. That's our, before practice, we'll all circle up. And that's where Romans 12, let love be genuine. That's why we say it. We'll rock up and go, cats be genuine. And that's what we're kind of insinuating is Romans 12, and that's why we're trying to memorize it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then going back, what is the red and gray team?
So we have two teams. We have a sideline team and our comp team. Okay. And so that's what the two different colors are, just the gray and the red. Our sideline team, our coach explained it really well our freshman year, because a lot of times, a lot of people are like, oh, it's an A and a B team. Or they'll be like, oh, like, it's the bad and the good team. But that's, like, not what it is at all. She explained sideline cheer is like the face of what you picture I would cheer to be. They do the kids camps, they do the basketball games. They're what you picture as the cheerleaders. When people think of the cheerleaders, they think of the people at the basketball games. They think of the girls holding little kids' hands and doing the little camps with them. And then our comp team is the ones that we go out and do actual competing. And that we're the ones that most people don't really know what we do. And so we get meshed together a lot because we do football games with them. But we are very different, and our roles in the school are very different. So
If you had to put into words a big takeaway that you've gotten in your 2 years, what would it be from the cheer team?
I think for me, it's definitely what's best for the team is best for me. Because again, with cheer, it's we need these people and to get these points. It doesn't matter how many years you've been cheering. It doesn't matter if you don't have what we need. You're not going to be used at that moment, and that sucks. Last year, I was an alternate, and for a while, I was like, okay, why did I come to the school if I was just going to be an alternate? Why'd you want me on the comp team if I was just going to sit on the side? But I wasn't ready to compete last year at all, and there were other people that were ready, and so she made that decision because that was best for the team. And so I had to realize that what was best for the team would be best for me as well. And it ended up being best for me because I don't know what I would have done if I was on mat last year. I had never competed in my entire life. I had never seen cheer comps. And so that was what was best. But also trusting our coach and trusting her decisions and knowing that just because you're on the team but not on the mat, that doesn't mean you're not valued. And that doesn't mean that she thinks you're a terrible person or a bad athlete. And yeah, that's just been my big one for the past 2 years.
I think mine is being grateful. Last year did not go the way I wanted it to. Conference, I took a big hit. One of my tumbling passes, I hit the mat, I dislocated my ankle and tore things in my knee. So I didn't get to compete the rest of conference or nationals at all. But this year, I ended up coming back. I'm still throwing tumbling, giving the grace to God. Goodness, I don't know how I'm doing it right now, but being grateful, I'm on mat again. I get to tumble. I get to stunt. I get to do all these different things, be with the team and love others, even if I feel like my whole mindset has changed this year. We'll go out to compete. Dang, that sucked. That didn't hit. But it's you know what? I love performing. I love being on the mat with this team, the energy. I'm able to compete at the college level. How many people get to say that? So being grateful in the little things that God is giving me has been a huge takeaway this year for sure.
So if you guys had to pick one memory from your Iowa cheer career so far, which one's your favorite?
The bus rides. Traveling. I remember last year, oh my gosh, I have a video of it. Me and Mikey. So, what was it? I think it was Kansas, right? It was the Kansas bus ride all the way up. And just by the end, it's 11 o'clock at night. You're slap happy. We're doing whatever. And we're trying to do these handstands on a moving bus. And it just...
Oh, sounds like a good plan.
It didn't go well at all. But it's just having those memories like that and just... It's 16-hour bus ride. There's bound to be some good memories and things going on. I mean, Mikey had a funny story with her favorite song. It's just the embarrassing, funny moments that you take away from those bus rides and just being able to travel with your team. That'll probably be the biggest takeaway from all 4 years here eventually, too.
Yeah.
I think that also goes into having boys and girls on the team. It's so fun to travel with each other. The boys will set up a sheet and play the Xbox in the back, and all the girls are just...
They'll have a projector and everything back there. It's crazy.
And all the girls are just talking in, the middle. But I think my favorite memory was definitely nationals. We went to the pool, and the girls were sitting in the hot tub, in our little swimsuits. And the boys were sliding on their tummies into the pool and seeing how far they can get in. Or they were, trying to see how, big their splashes could be. And it was just, it's so fun to do things as a team that's not actually just our sport. Because, these people are, my family, and I love it. And I'm so excited to travel this weekend. And it's just so much
Make
fun.
more memories that, yeah.
I love it. It's so fun. So, yeah.
All right. That's it. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
And at Taylor. Ooh, Nationals is in Ohio.
It is.
Yep.
Mount Vernon is far, too. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Wildcat Nation, for tuning in to episode 5 of Wildcat Week with IWU's competition cheer Mikey Howard and Kaylee Taylor. I'm Abby Harvey with Isaac Wolf here on Wildcat Week, presented by Amplify Media.